Hey, what's up everybody? It's Kellen here from Start Your Systems, and welcome back to the Crew 2, where today I am going to be trekking across the country, starting in Los Angeles at the very edge of the Pacific Ocean, and making my way all the way to New York in Daniel Ricciardo's Red Bull RB3. And here is where we're headed. We're going to end up actually in downtown New York, right next to the Empire State Building. And for some reason, my map malfunctioned again. Every time I go a little bit off the grid, it malfunctions. So let me get back here, and maybe it'll fix itself. Or maybe it won't. I didn't want to start this at night, but we're not too far away from the morning, so hopefully, there we go. Okay, now the map has fixed itself, and we can start going, like I said, starting at the Santa Monica Pier, which we were just at right there. And all these cars are low in this intersection. I'm gonna do the best I can to make it all the way to the other side of the map without hitting too many cars. Obviously, I want to be going as fast as I can. There's cars literally disappearing and reappearing in front of me here, so I'm having to try to weave through them while paying attention to the map, which is just an absolutely fun thing to try to do here. Oh my goodness. I actually started recording this video about 5 minutes ago, made it a little ways through. You could see my trail that I was actually setting, and then I leveled up to icon level in this game, and well, lo and behold, I'm going to have to start over because it went through a whole cutscene that was kind of annoying and completely detracted from the video. So we'll continue on from this sense. Here we are though, literally in downtown LA right now. Oh my gosh, these cars are flying. Those are races going on. I'm in a server with other people, so it's not just me. Those cars that were flying by are part of a race that's going on, as I mentioned, though. LA to New York. And it's about 73 miles. So it should take us roughly 30 minutes, maybe less to get there. We'll see if I can beat the time that I had previously recorded, which was about 32 minutes, but I was with a lot of mistakes and crashes and things like that. It's actually a really fun challenge to try to make it all the way to the other side of the map, kind of speed running it. And you can actually do it faster in other cars than the RB13, but I'm a big Formula 1 fan, so it just felt like a fun idea to do a video where I make it from one side of the country in this game to the other in a Formula 1 car. And I actually wanted to do this video because this is the second video I've ever done in the Crew 2, and I've been playing it quite a bit, so it's not like it's brand new to me or anything. But the first video I did, of course, was a motocross video, since that's what this channel seems to be known for. And most people were like, oh, this is kind of cool, whatever, you know, motocross in a pretty mainstream game is really neat. And then there was, of course, some backlash because, I mean, let's be honest, this is very unrealistic, very wonky, and I never played the Crew 1, so I can't attest to this, but a lot of people are saying there's less so of a story mode and really fun career things to do in this game. Of course, it being called The Crew, it's kind of meant to be an online game where you get together with your friends and do races and stuff like that, so that's the crew aspect of it. But if you're playing in single player, you obviously want to have a good career mode, story mode, have lots of challenges and things to do, and there's definitely a lot of things to do, more so than a lot of games that I play regularly, which has a mostly pretty bland career mode. So I'm enjoying it just because it's different. But I mean, I guess if you're coming from, you know, FPS games or any RPG games in general that have really good story modes, this seems pretty bland to you, and I can understand that. But the backlash that I got from the video I did was just so many people saying, this game is horrifically unrealistic and Ubisoft is just trying to dig into your pockets, which, I mean, that's not wrong. Ubisoft is a game company in the business trying to make money. Yes, there's some people that probably work there that are really actually in it for making games, but I can promise you the higher-ups care little about the game and more so about the money. And that's just every video game company, or at least most of them are just in it exclusively for the money. So I don't really consider that like a fault on their end. Like, it's just the reality of the situation. But the gameplay is lacking a little bit. I mean, it's pretty unrealistic. Just driving this car around right now, there's so many unrealistic things going on. Like, you'll see at some point when I get more out into the countryside that I'll hit something that's kind of ramped out, maybe on the road or whatnot, and you'll think, oh, sure, like that'll launch you really high into the air, but very quickly I'll come back to the ground, which I guess isn't too incorrect about these particular cars, because Formula One cars are you know, unlike an airplane, which is designed to lift you off the ground, a Formula One car's cardinal design is essentially to push you into the ground. So, I mean, it makes sense from that aspect because that's what it's supposed to be doing. But even so, it's a little lame how unrealistic the gravity is in this game. Definitely unrealistic the, you know, actual speeds of everything is. I feel like you just go, in general, way too fast through corners, and you have boost in this game too, which is kind of bleh. Like, I'm not a big fan of having boost in games. Like, if you want it in just the street racing aspect, where obviously a lot of those cars probably do have nitrous tanks on them, or drag racing even as well, that's fine. But like, a Formula One car doesn't have boost. It used to have KERS, but now all it has is DRS, and you know, I don't know. I think that's kind of a lame aspect to the game, but still, I don't know. I'm one that likes to play it for a game that I have fun in, and the open world aspect of this game is a very attractive piece to a game like this to me. To have a map that, you know, pretty well details a lot of cool aspects of the United States. I mean, this game doesn't even have one building from the city I live in, which is San Diego, in it. Like, San Diego doesn't exist in The Crew 2. It's literally like a small dock and then the edge of the map, and that's obviously, you know, not the case of what San Diego is. Gosh darn it, I seriously did that the first time I went through this map too. Went off right there. But just the vastness of this, and that's kind of why I wanted to do this video, to show off, like, look at how long I can just drive in basically one direction. I'm going right towards the sun, practically due east right here, and you just keep driving and driving and driving, and the landscape is so open. And, like, honestly, the next thing that I want to try to do, it would take probably an hour and a half to complete, but I want to get on one of the dirt bikes in this game and start in Seattle and drive all the way and make it all the way to Miami, but try not to get on roads. Try to avoid roads as much as I can and go over mountains so you guys can see that aspect of it. Like, this is cool to see, I guess, like the landmarks and you know, how open the land is. Like, right now we're kind of in what I would consider like the Arizona-Utah part of the map. There's actually the Grand Canyon not too far away from here that you can go to, and it's got like the Hoover Dam next to Vegas, which we're not going to be going through, but we will be going through I think Dallas, and then we make our way up through some of the middle states. I think St. Louis might be going through, and then we'll go past Detroit. Oh, leveling up to Icon 2, so we're just clicking through the Icon levels here. Getting experience points, if you never played The Crew or The Crew 2, you get these experience points by doing certain things. So like right now I'm getting experience points for going high speed, for going the wrong way on the road, for having near misses. You garner a lot of experience by doing activities in this game, but obviously the open world aspect of it, you can just go and drive and you'll hit random activities to do, but for the most part it's this aspect of it where you're picking up points just driving across the country essentially. I think that's really cool. So I'll try to make a note of some of the cities we come upon. This is Kingman, which is in Arizona. So we're coming down off the hill and through the city. Just going straight on, not a lot of people out here, still early goings in the morning. And now we are making it into the mountain states. Just said Black Mountain. You'll see right on the bottom right hand corner of the screen down by the GPS, it'll kind of tell you where we are. And at some point in this video I might even stop and just click on the map so you can get an idea of where we've come from, what we've gone through, and where we're still going to be going. probably about the halfway point. I'm thinking when I get to Dallas, maybe I'll do a stop and go kind of thing. And we'll probably get to Dallas within the next 6 minutes, maybe. 49 miles to go to New York. Yeah, maybe even less. Just look at how vast this landscape is. It's just all around, and it really hits the nail on the head. I've visited 37 of the 50 states, and if you include continental United States, which is you can kind of include Alaska, but it's not connected to the main states. So continental United States is the 48 states that are on the mainland essentially and connected to one another. So if you exclude Alaska and Hawaii, I've been to 37 of the 48 continental states, and I've seen a lot. I mean, this is a good job of capturing the desert landscape that you come across as you drive through New Mexico and Arizona, and you're starting to head into Texas a little bit. Like, this does a pretty good job of it, I feel. Oop. So now we're in big land, it seems, and this is actually a little bit of new terrain. The last directional place I went, I don't believe I went this way, and you'll notice the map was just blinking as well, and it was making a loud beeping noise. That is just to let you know that there's a loot box nearby. Loot boxes are where you can stop and get components for your vehicle. As you get closer to it, it'll beep louder and more frequently. So that's how you find, like, in the middle of nowhere, you'll find loot boxes, and they give you components for your vehicle. Whatever vehicle you're in when you find it is components it'll give you for it. So I could have gone and found it in this car and got components for the F1 car. Oh, taking those people out. You can't actually run people over in this game. They just kind of get shoved off to the side, so there's no gore involved or anything like that. So it looks like we are maybe into Utah, judging by the landscape change here a little bit. Starting to see some more of the peaked rock valleys and stuff like that, similar to Monument Park or Arches National Park in Utah. Central Woods and Roswell is what I just saw on that sign. Did not see how far away they are, but I did see that the sign said that. And that one just said the same thing. 42 miles away, so we're almost halfway through the journey here. Once we hit about 36 miles to go is when we'll be essentially halfway through. We are on the Navajo Trail now, as it says. Still Central Valley and Roswell that just was mentioned. We're just cruising, so I'm actually going to go into the car right now. Do a little bit of first-person action. Way out in the middle of nowhere, so why not? I wonder if we can make it to New York before the sun goes down. I mean, it's rising very slowly. Daylight is quite long. It's probably not yet 9 a.m. because the sun starts rising at about 3 in this game. I think we could probably make it all the way to the other side before the sun comes up. They're just cruising through middle America right now, though. This is really fun, these parts, too, because there's not many cars on the road, and you're pretty much just full throttle, kind of arching your corners out. Train tracks. They're doing about 214, 215, as I mentioned. Top speed in this car is 217 miles per hour, but that is in a straight line on flat ground. When you come down hills, you can go much, much faster. Yeah, it looks like we're very close to the Grand Canyon, I would say here. Oop. Didn't even hit that barrier. Came in a little bit hot. You can see some mountain range in the distance. I would assume that's the Rocky Mountains. We're just cruising right along here, taking out street poles. Did it again. Yeah, so see, like right there, you would think with how fast I hit that uphill that you'd get sent. You just launch off of it, but definitely not what happened right there. And we're coming up to a town here. I'm not sure which town this is going to be. Looks like maybe it's that Central Valley town that we were seeing on the signs. Oh, turned a little bit too soon. It's all right. Through the bushes, we're good. And I didn't see what town it said when I entered. Should have looked. Yeah, so only 33 miles to go. I think we're making it through the middle parts pretty quick. In fact, let's actually use this as our stopping point. Interestingly enough, there's a stop sign right there. We'll zoom out and see where we came from. We are currently in Santa Fe, so we have actually gone north from Texas, so we're not going to be going through Dallas, and we're not even going to be going through St. Louis. We're going right through the middle here. So we're in Santa Fe. Looks like the next city that we'll hit will be almost nothing until we get to New York. We're going to have pretty dry landscape. That's okay. Continue on. It says Mountain States, New Mexico, but it feels like we're much deeper into the USA by this point. We're going to start having some twisting and winding roads here. A little deep into the corner on the braking. Can you imagine driving a Formula One car through this area? I mean, the way that the roads are like angled and how many ups and downs there are on them, it would be almost impossible to do because F1 cars sit so low to the ground. Oh, jeez, hit a rock. They sit so low to the ground though that you'd pretty much always scrape the floorboard of it, even if you really stiffened up the suspension and raised the ride height on it a little bit. Oh my gosh, I'm all over the place now. Go out of first person. You can see down the road just a little bit better this way. You know what? There's still lots of daylight left. Let's take a little detour to St. Louis. What do I have to do? Go straight up from here? So it looks like once we get to this junction, Central Plains Junction, I can get on the freeway. We'll go up to St. Louis just to change it up a little bit so we're not going dead center through the middle here. And I think the map just broke. Yeah, that's not good. All right, well, we'll try to make it to the Central Plains, go up to St. Louis. Maybe we'll follow some street signs along the way. So we're not going to break my 33-minute record most likely, but could still have a fun time here. I honestly could be going the completely wrong way here. Yeah, I'm going to fix that. Nope. Okay, so we are going the right way still. Good. But we're going to have to make a turn here pretty quick. Or do we? I need to just... No, let's go straight there, and we'll end up here. That's perfect. I'll go straight past where I'm supposed to turn, and we'll be good. Let's boost back up to full speed. We'll get to St. Louis, and then continue on to New York City. St. Louis is a pretty cool city in this map because St. Louis actually has a very noticeable landmark that you can visit in real life. It's the gateway to the west, as it were. It's the St. Louis Arch. I think that's what it's called, though, is the gateway to the west. So it wanted me to turn there, but of course, we're going to keep going here, and it's going to change the map for us, so that's nice. 27 miles away. But we're going to find our way up to St. Louis. Didn't see how far away we are right there. St. Louis is honestly one of the few major cities in the United States I haven't visited. But I want to at some point. Yeah, so we're not going to turn here again. We're just going to keep on going. Straight on through. "25 miles out from New York City." I think we'll still make it there with plenty of daylight to spare. Yeah, I mean, it's still in front of me as we head east, the sun is, so I think it's going to be in the air for quite some time. It's kind of nice how it works. Nightfall doesn't last as long as daylight in this game. It's kind of like a midsummer in Alaska where you have super, super long days and short nights because of the way the sun comes around the Earth. All right, so you can see the arch there in the distance. We are approaching St. Louis. So we'll go into the city, and then of course it'll redirect me on the map. We're gonna be coming up to the junction here pretty soon. Not there yet. Whoosh. Coming straight at that car. Just swerve last minute. We're good. Alright, this is the junction I was wanting to get onto, but it doesn't look like there's a way onto it, actually. So can I continue straight? And there will be a road, looks like. So when we hit the T, we'll actually make a left. 0 to 160 in like 3 seconds. Ah, reset once. The map is freaking out, getting pretty close to loot. But I'm sure we'll just drive right on by it. Yeah, it's probably somewhere in this area. Alright, so here's the T. Yeah, I know I'm going the wrong way. Doing it on purpose. Going into St. Louis. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to St. Louis. We're coming into the city here, hot and heavy. Cut across the grass here so I don't have to deal with this. And we'll go to the archway, kind of drive into the city a little bit so you can see it. Old brick buildings and stuff like that. St. Louis has stayed very kind of traditional with its architecture. And looks like this is City Hall right in front of us with the dome next to it. And then here's the archway at the end. So we'll just, oh, that's a wall. I was hoping I could go through that. Looks like I can't. Can I get near next to the arch? Or is it just completely, is it really gated all the way around that you can't get next to it? That's stupid. Could probably fly through it if I got in a plane. Yeah, it looks like it is completely gated all the way around. Move out of the way, cars. Nope, yeah, it's completely gated. So this is as close as we're gonna get. Right next to it, though. I mean, literally right next to it. Memorial Park, and there was City Hall, as I mentioned. That was downtown St. Louis. So it wants me to turn around and go back out. So we're gonna do that now. We're gonna make it all the way to New York City from here. So LA, St. Louis, New York City. So I get it, man. I don't know. This game has got some real funky, fake aspects to it, but does it have to be realistic to be fun? I mean, I know that this isn't even close. It's way off in a lot of aspects. I get it. I'm not saying it's a perfect game or anything. But, I mean, I've played a lot of motocross games that weren't realistic. Freakstyle is a good example, and Freakstyle was really fun, in my opinion. I'm sure it's a bit old and dated now, but I don't know. I miss games being arcadey, like truly arcadey, not just like, oh yeah, it's got some realism and some fake aspects to it, so you can feel the arcadiness of it, but really it's kind of realistic. No, I like games where they're just wild and out there, and I know that they probably oversell this game as being realistic, as having, you know, a huge USA map and all these cars involved into it, but I mean, it's just cool that they get that many different vehicles into the game. I mean, you know, the boating industry has their own genres in here as well, you know, their own manufacturers, and personally, as a big motocross and supercross fan myself, I think it is so rad that Suzuki, Kawasaki, and KTM made it into this game. Like, that's huge for those manufacturers, because the next time somebody goes, you know, to the store that plays this game, and they, you know, maybe they want to buy a dirt bike for the first time, they're gonna recognize those names now. And even if nobody, you know, buys a dirt bike from just playing this game, now they'll hear about dirt bikes and those companies, and they'll, you know, maybe they'll look into them, or maybe they'll watch a motocross race because they're like, oh, I remember playing this game and seeing KTM before, or Suzuki or whatever, and oh, now I'm watching them race through these tracks on TV. That's pretty cool. I don't know. I mean, I guess some people can be a little narrow-minded about it, but that's not kind of what I'm at here. I think that it's really cool that we have things like this to play, and that they include things like motocross in it as a racing genre. Like, that's awesome. They could just ignore it. They could just be like, nah, it's a pretty small market. We don't need motocross in a racing game. They could totally ignore it, but they decided to include it with boat racing and drag racing and Formula One cars very clearly. And I mean, this game covers so many bases that, you know, that's why I give it a little bit of a pass for not being the perfect racing simulator. I don't think it needs to be. So, I'm not trying to overly defend the game. I'm with a lot of you in saying that these physics are really strange for a racing game, and if they're gonna continue to try to sell it as this, you know, epic racing game, racing simulator of some sort, I would hope that they work on the physics going forward. But I don't know, the vast landscape, everything looks real pretty, clean, polished. I just think that is so cool for a game like this. You don't get it very often. I mean, look at how, like, the Fuel is another example of a game that, you know, came out 6-7 years ago now. Very unrealistic, really strange physics for vehicles, but the open world map of it was so huge, so vast, so many different racing options to use and play in that game that it was honestly like fun because of that. Yeah, it lacked in realism, but I mean, everything else that it possessed I thought was really awesome and really fun. Alright, under 10 miles to go, and we'll be in downtown New York City, dropping by the Empire State Building. New York City is definitely the most detailed map, or part of the map, I would say. They did a lot of work into making that city very holistic and as close to realistic as they could. So I think that's pretty cool of them. Obviously, LA is pretty detailed as well, as New York City and LA are pretty much the two largest cities. Chicago is so big it pretty much just goes into Wisconsin and pretty much covers up where Milwaukee would be. And then Detroit is pretty much Michigan. Like, all of Michigan is condensed into Detroit in this game. Like, Michigan, it's pretty huge in real life, but in this game it's like just a small little peninsula with Detroit. But, you know, they've got Miami. We obviously went through St. Louis. Las Vegas is also very detailed. I'll go down the strip at some point during a gameplay video on this and point out all the real aspects they included. You know, they have the Mandalay Bay, the Luxor, Treasure Island, Caesar's Palace, the Bellagio, the MGM. I mean, they included all of those. It's not like they just made some made-up fake game. They included all those things. Look at how the air all the way up in there. Saw a shortcut I could take and took it. As unrealistic as it is to jump a Formula One car off of a dirt mound, I think it's still a little fun, right? Can play around. All right, 5 miles away from the city, which means pretty soon we're gonna start seeing the buildings. In fact, just peeking through the trees, it looked like I could just see a couple of them. And then I think what we're gonna do is end up going through the Washington Tunnel, I think it's called. It goes under the Hudson River from New Jersey into New York City. And there we go. It looks like right ahead of us we can see what is the replica of the Freedom Tower, which was built right next to the location where 9/11 unfortunately happened. But then USA built a 1,776-foot middle finger to the world. So there we go, New York City and the sky drop there in the background. And it says it's only 1.7 miles away from us, but obviously we're following the waypoint all the way in on the GPS here, so still about 3 miles away. Excuse me. So now we're in what would be called Jersey City in New Jersey. And I think we're headed towards Washington Tunnel. Yeah, it looks like we're about to go underground here. So this goes under the Hudson River, as mentioned. Down, 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 down. This is legitimately what it does in real life too. It goes under the river. Dang it, second reset, and it has to be right before the end. Oh boy, oh boy. That curbing did not want me to get up onto it. I've actually been through quite a few of the underground tunnels that exist in New York City. I've ridden the subway quite a few times. I've been to New York City 3 times in my life. And here we go out into the daylight again. And coming to the end in downtown NYC, right next to the Empire State Building. Could keep going straight and go up and over the, I believe that's also the Washington Bridge ahead of me. Should be the Brooklyn Bridge nearby too. We're gonna end up right next to the Empire State Building and complete our journey from Los Angeles to New York City. Whoa-bang. Nice. So here we are, Empire State Building. All the way across the country. Started in LA and ended up in New York City. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. A little bit of a gameplay running from one side of the country to the other, and the Crew 2. Only took, what, about 30 minutes in the end to get from one side to the other. I thought it was kind of a fun idea. Like I said, I would like to go from Seattle to Miami, which is Miami's down here. Go all the way across the middle of the country on a dirt bike into Seattle up here. But yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, please be sure to like and subscribe. And let me know in the comment section what you think of my ranting and discussion in this video. I know that I'm sure going to get a little bit of hate from still playing this game, but I don't know. I think it's kind of cool. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. So long for now.